Okay, so this is Anna from Cat Realty, and today I will be talking to you about the refugee support and refugee guide. So I will be talking a bit about how to get registered and what exactly the refugee status means. And I'm also going to talk about the free support programs and the school system, the job market, and the rental market. So those are going to be the main topics that I will be covering today. So to start, the refugee support and registration. So the Portuguese state has been making a great effort to welcome Ukrainian refugees to Portugal, and they made an expedited refugee status registration system that you can either apply for online or at the designated support balconies that are mainly staff and immigration delegations. All of this information will be made available on a blog post that we will be making and also linking in the comments later. And the refugee support status is currently very, very easy to obtain. You just need to have your travel documents, and that means that the passport is highly valued. If you come without a passport, you will still be able to obtain the status, but it will be a more complicated more complicated process. While if you have the passport, it's a lot simpler and almost automatic. So when you have the passport, you just need to annex all the documentation, including the passport, photographs, the ID, and proof of address from Ukraine, and fill out the form, and you submit it, and then you get everything taken care of automatically and receive the miph number, the social security number, the UTIN number, and get the refugee support status. The refugee support status does not mean that you get stuck in Portugal at all. You are still able to travel. You are still able to leave the country if you wish. It's just a temporary support and expedited visa kind of system. So, as I was saying, you can apply for this status either online or on the balconies. On the balconies, they are asking to do it online because the thing is, supposedly for children, you need to go there in person, and this is to avoid child trafficking and to take some extra measures of safety to ensure the identity of the children. And however, we had a family that went to the balcony and they still asked to fill the form online. So at the moment, what I would recommend is to first fill the form and then go to the balcony once they call you, because I'm guessing they will do that because the current legislation requires extra verification for children. So, as I was saying, the refugee status is very, very easy to obtain, and it won't cost you anything, and you are completely free to leave the country, move inside the country however you please. Regarding the free support programs, there are some state coordinated programs and incentives, and a lot of free lodging for refugees, and that means that you are able to stay as long as you want. I don't know if there is any limitation on how long you are able to stay on these shelters. I don't think so, or at least it's a very long limit. I had been directly in contact with the support that is being the support program that is being promoted by the Vagos town hall that's near Aveiro, and they still have a lot of places available. So if you are looking for a free place to stay, that may be a great option. And they are also offering, including psychological support and also languages and integration into the school, so Portuguese classes and all of that. So most of the support programs include all of these. There have also been a lot of efforts in regards to making making essential needs met. So food, banks of food, of clothes, and those kinds of things that are made available for refugees. Lots of churches are also making programs and having beds available, and clothes and food. So there are a number of free support programs. One of the questions that I've been getting from the families that we are supporting is about schools. Obviously, these families are very worried about their children and their children's situation. Once the children are registered, they are automatically allowed to participate in public schools in Portugal. They are not, however, required to. So the way that this works here in Portugal is once you have an address, you are able to, you are automatically assigned to the closest school from that address, but you are not mandated to go to that school. You can go to a different school. You can, but you still need to go through the application process like it normally would. So that's what happens with the public system here in Portugal. The public system has absolutely no costs. And there are, like I said, a lot of measures being put in place in regards to learning Portuguese and the Portuguese language barrier. So that's the situation on schools. You are also able to get private schooling, but through that you need to contact the school individually and privately in order to get a code and report on how to proceed with them. In regards to the job market, the job market in Portugal is fairly saturated in some areas, but a lot lacking in others. For example, construction is extremely understaffed, and there are also a lot of job opportunities in IT and in technical fields like factories. And honestly, there is enough job offers. Some of them are not very well paid, because that's one of the things about the way that the Portuguese system works. So in Portugal, when you are employed, you actually get 14 payments. You get 14 months of payment, because one of those months is the vacation subsidiary that is paid when you take a vacation, and another one is the Christmas subsidiary that is usually paid at the early December. And that means that you get 14 months payment, and you also make a lot of discounts to Social Security and IRS. But this gives you access to things like unemployment subsidiaries, maternity leave, health pay, sick pay. So you get a number, retirement, you also get retirement. So there is a number of things that you get from these payments, and you also have a fully free health system. You actually are able to use the health system independently of your visa status. You are just not able to go through specialty appointments. So this means that even as a tourist, you are able to go to a public hospital and get treatment, especially on the ER. If you need an urgent visitation, you can go to a hospital and get treatment, and you pay exactly the same as everyone else. And I think that's about €6, the current fee for the ER visitation. And that's how much you have to pay, really. The only thing that you don't have access to, unless you are a registered Portuguese resident or visa holder, which the refugee status grants, is follow-up appointments and family doctors. But as soon as you get the refugee status, you are able to schedule those. So I got a bit sidetracked, but I was talking about employment and how the employment situation is here in Portugal. And one of the reasons I was talking about this is because these employees, Ukrainian employees that I've been working with, apparently in the Ukraine, there is 5% flat tax on independent workers, and therefore lots of tech companies take advantage of that for their tech employees, and that's what was happening in this case. Here in Portugal, it doesn't work the same. Although you can be an independent worker, there is very strict laws on what is considered independent worker, and if you are working for just one entity, you will have that entity will eventually be obliged to make a company in Portugal and pay taxes in Portugal. So you won't be able to hold the independent worker status unless you are truly being paid by the hour and have more than one employer. So in that regards, the taxation on the employees, the taxation on the individual workers is also much higher than it is in Ukraine. So you pay at least 15% social security plus the IRS tax. You get exemption from the social security on the first year, but not the IRS. I believe the IRS is also minimum 15%, and it goes up depending on how much you earn, even as independent. For companies, there is a lot more taxation, and it comes off from both the employees and the employers. Anyway, there is also the government already showed interest and is developing programs to incentive hiring Ukrainian refugees, and we don't know yet exactly how these programs are going to be. I am guessing they are going to be subsidiaries to hiring and offering higher wages, or reductions on taxes. It's probably going to be one of these two. And the government is trying to make it attractive to hire Ukrainian refugees, because the goal is also to have people settle here in the country, as we do have kind of employee lack, shortage and employee shortage in a lot of areas, and especially outside of the big cities. So, going to the rental market. The rental market in Portugal is a bit all over the place. It's usually very fast-paced, but the big cities work very differently from the smaller cities, and it's important to consider how much you are willing to spend and how much you want to be spending when you are living in the city, because the costs of living are very different from place to place. We have a video about this where most of my team is present, and we talk about the different locations from a local perspective, and you can go check that to see things in a lot more detail. But overall, if you want a rent, I don't know, under 500 euros, you have to go to lower density areas. There's just it's very hard to find, even in medium cities like Caldas da Rainha. It's very hard to find rents under 500 euros nowadays, even for one bedrooms. They exist, yes, but they are not very common. There is also a lot of rentals, of course, for example, bedrooms. For bedrooms, you also have platforms like Uniplaces that are designed for student rentals and bedroom rentals. For regular rentals, I advise to look in platforms like OLX, Custo Justo, Imovirtual, Idealista. But one of the things that you will notice is that many of the landlords and the listers won't reply to you, especially if you write to them in English. And this is for two reasons. One of them is because they usually get a lot more offer than they need, so at some point they just stop replying to people. And the other one is how fast-paced the market is. It's just, things tend to go very quickly, and often people forget to take the ads down, and the ads are available even though the property is not already. And this is very common both on the rental market and on the buying market. So it can be a bit complicated to find a place and to sort through the options because of this. In regards to actually finding a rental, there are lots of people that are volunteering to support refugees and giving better prices to refugees, and that can be an interesting thing to explore. Due to the influx that is going to happen to Portugal, I do believe that the rentals will start being a bit harder. There is already at least 5,000 registered Ukrainian refugees. I believe many of these people are staying in family homes or free support programs, but eventually these people will start looking for rentals, and the rental market is already very short supplied, so I do believe the rental market will be even harder from now on, and that's something to take into consideration. In regards to pricing, like I was saying, it depends a lot on the locations. You have the big city like Lisbon, where you truly can't live if you don't have at least 1,000 euros income, because the rents are very, very high and the costs of living are also high. Portugal is a bit a bit cheaper, but it's not that big of a difference. It's more affordable, but it's from a rental perspective. Well, truth is, in Lisbon now it's common to get rentals for 2,000 euros, and in Porto the prices are still much more affordable and start from 500 euros for a T0, but it's still a fairly high market, especially given into consideration the salaries of Portugal. In regards to smaller cities, the rents can go a bit lower, and especially in smaller locations, that's where we will be able to find the best quality of life regarding compared to rental prices. So we do provide location advisory, and it's a bit hard for me to cover the whole country right now, so I'm just going to give a bit of an overview by zone. So you have the north of Porto, we call it Minho, that area, and that area is fairly underpopulated, but there's also the problem with that area is transportation. It's very hard to get transportation in that area. However, it's very cheap, and there are some opportunities there, but you have to be willing to be a bit more isolated. Then the same thing goes for the interior Portugal, and the interior Portugal is a very mountainy area, especially in the north, and the accesses are extra hard there, because to go anywhere you just have very wiggly roads all over. And that's the issue there. However, the prices are very, very low, because you are also very isolated and have a lot less amenities and services available. Then you get the second bigger city, that is Porto. Porto makes a lot of investment in technology. In the north, I also recommend to check out Braga and Viana do Castelo, for example. But there are a number of cities that you can try. Going a bit more down, you have Aveiro and then Coimbra, that are also very developing cities, medium-sized cities. The prices are rising. They are starting to be a bit more comparable to Porto, although the high end doesn't get as high as in Porto. The low end still gets fairly high, because there's a lot of demand from student rentals, as there is some very big universities in both the cities, and goes for Braga. You also have, if you keep coming lower, you have cities like Caldas da Rainha that I already mentioned, Torres Vedras, and then you enter the Lisbon metropolitan area, that is a lot more expensive. The center is ridiculously expensive, but then you have a bit more, the transportation network is definitely a lot better, and you also can go to places like Santarém, that is about half an hour, 40 minutes public transportation to Lisbon, and it's a lot more affordable because it's in the interior. Coastal cities can get very expensive too. For example, Nazaré is getting crazy prices because it became super popular because of surfing, and the prices in Nazaré for rentals are currently very, very high, and the prices for buying are rising, but not as high yet. And keeping going down, you start entering the Alentejo. Alentejo is a plain area with with more extreme climates. It's cold because you don't really get that much of extreme climate in Portugal, to be honest. You have the highest temperatures and very low temperatures on the winter time, but the problem is usually the summertime when you get really, really high temperatures. And the transportation in the Alentejo is absolutely terrible, but the advantage is it's plain. So if you have a car, it's fairly easy to move around. And the prices are also very, very affordable, especially in the interior. Then you get to the Algarve, that is the sunny beach destination of Portugal, that has a very high dependency on tourism, and therefore the prices are extremely inflated, especially on the summertime, and it's very hard to find year-round rentals because it's much more profitable for owners and investors to rent for holidays. So this is more or less an overhaul of the rental market in Portugal. To have more details, feel free to contact us. We are currently running a campaign for refugee support, and for every package bought by a client, we are offering premium rental support to a refugee. We currently have 3 slots for free rental support for refugees available. If you would like to get one of them, please contact us at contact@savvycatrealty.com. We will ask for your Ukrainian ID and address to confirm your refugee status, and the slots will be assigned on the first come, first served basis. This campaign will be active for as long as this humanitarian situation goes on, and for any package bought superior to the premium rental package, we offer a premium rental package to a refugee. So this means the premium rental, the premium plus rental, and all the buying packages offer a free support to a refugee family. And then if you are a refugee family and you want to pay for the service, we offer 50% discount. This also applies for companies or individuals wanting to represent a refugee. So this is the campaign that we are currently giving. It is of course limited by our own human capacity of serving our clients with quality. So of course, when all of my agents are busy, I won't be able to take more clients, either paid or free. And eventually maybe I'll expand the team, but that's the currently limitation of the current campaign. So I believe this more or less covers a short guide for refugees in Portugal. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you'd like to purchase one of our services and support a refugee in the process, you can do that through our website or by contacting us at contact@savvycatrealty.com. That's all. Thank you so much. Bye.